Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say, it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of the program. We're glad you're along for the ride. It's Pod Up with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. You're going to have a good show lined up anytime you got the good old Buddy Martin beating down the door. You got a good chance to have a good show. So not a whole lot going on in the sports world right now. We're going to talk a lot of Gators with Buddy here. But let's go ahead and head on over to the Titan MR hotline, and from Gator Bait Media, who is sporting his Gator Bait shirt, Buddy Martin. Good morning, buddy. How are you?
Good morning. I represent two this morning. You don't do this too often, but I do. I am a Gator. I'm a Gator letterman, and let's be honest about it. I root for the Gators just like you do. But yeah, I'm doing good. Shane, it's been kind of a lull. It's a lull when you turned on Twitter in the morning at 6:30 a.m. or 7 a.m. and the first 10 or 12 things you see are all spam, stuff about animals, hardly any football chat, because it's post-SEC media days. Everybody's taking that one more week off before the storm. And Shane, football is on us next Tuesday. It's starting.
Yeah, well, the National Football League's already started. The Jaguars are in camp. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. It is here. And I got a couple things off Twitter this morning I want to run by you.
All right.
First off, we want to send our thoughts and prayers out to Coach McElwain. I don't know if you saw the news, but he had a seizure. Don't know a whole lot about it, but he's going to miss MAC media days. And why can't I get to the live reads? I mean, the Facebook Live. I don't understand what's going on here. But anyway, I don't know if you saw that about Coach Mack or not.
Yeah. I did, and while we're shouting out, let's talk to France Beard. His whole family has COVID. His mom and stepfather, they're all three of them, and France has been kind of under the weather, and he's our Iron Duke, and he's always there, and he's missed about a week now. And he told me again yesterday, it feels like he got run over by a Mack truck. So if you're a praying kind of person, lift him up and his family, and hopefully he'll be back soon.
There's no question about that. I got something here I want to read that I got off Twitter, and if I can't, I don't know what's going on here. Why is this not working today?
You know why, Shane? You're out in the swamp. I see behind you. I look at the trees, cypress. You're not even in the building. You're in the swamp. You got no.
I'm in a swamp today. Yep.
You're swamp. Yeah.
Okay, so let's have Evan hack into my computer and find out what's going on. No reason. Don't know why this is not working.
Well, you're up.
All right. So
good.
I have refreshed. It's just not coming up. Okay, so as they hack into my computer, I saw this on from Saturday Down South, and it's according to CBS Sports Page. They had the top 40 athletic programs across the country. The SEC had 10 of the top 40. Do you know which SEC team was the top athletic program?
Well, you say athletic, you mean just overall everything?
Yeah, the entire athletic program.
Has to be Florida.
Oh, Lord.
Well, wait a minute now. You said top athletic, track and field and basketball and baseball and whatever. Now, if you don't number of titles.
Every sport.
Like
the top. Okay, so there's 40 teams, 40 athletic, the top 40 they listed.
Yeah.
I don't know who the top team is. It doesn't say here. But the SEC had 10. Number 5 was the highest rated SEC university.
Programs? I got to see this. All right.
It's Florida out of the top 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, was 9th of the 10 SEC schools.
Wow.
Florida's ranked 36th overall. Arkansas rolls in at number 5. Alabama 8, Georgia 9, Tennessee 13, Kentucky 15, Ole Miss 16, Auburn 24, LSU 35, Florida 36, South Carolina 40. I have no idea how they do their rankings, but what do you think about that?
Well, look, first of all, who did it?
CBS Sports.
And who is that?
Well, hell, CBS Sports.
No, I don't mean anything. I mean, look, I get you. I get where you're going. But look, I was CBS Sports. I worked here for 3 years. I could have put a list out and said that. I'm so tired of these bogus rankings. There's somebody who gives up, so I'm going to make the greatest wide receivers of all time. And look, I mean, what is the basis of this? You talk about overall, how could these teams, that many teams be ahead of Florida for an overall program? They mean just last year? They mean last 10 years? I mean, that's the thing about it. So,
well, no, it's for this year, just for this year.
For this year. Okay, so they're going off a bad year for Florida, of course, in terms of football and basketball. But, I mean, okay, so what? So, I mean, who cares? I can make a list up and put mine and say I'm Gator bait and put forward the top 10. You can't tell me there are out of the top 5 programs in Florida that SEC school is not involved. It's not one of them. So give me the top 5. I want to know. I got to hear this.
They don't. The Saturday Down South didn't post that. They just posted all the SEC schools.
Okay, so what? I mean, I like Saturday Down South. I got some good writers, and they're very.
Yeah, they're only all the Saturday Down South cares about is the SEC. So they just listed the SEC schools.
Yeah, okay.
So anyway, I thought that was interesting. I thought it was something to talk about. Also, if people missed it, the Gator basketball team is playing again this year in the Phil Knight Legacy Tournament.
Yeah.
And they will open up against the Xavier Musketeers. Okay.
Yeah.
What's interesting is if we win that game, we'll play the winner of Duke and Oregon State.
Interesting. I have no idea how good the basketball team is. I have seen one practice for the new coach, Todd Golden. I hear good things. I know who they got coming back. But right now, I don't have a feel for that. I'm trying to figure out this football program. And the more I study it, the harder I work, the less I know. It just seems to me. We talked about it on my show last night.
What are you studying, buddy?
Everything. I read everything. I talk to media people around the country all the time. You know what the media thinks of this. Well, but I mean, the media is the media. Is it the guy with 5 followers on Twitter? Is that the media? I mean,
the SEC media has already said what they think of.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I understand, and I'm not surprised. They've been wrong every year, and they might be wrong this year. But I trust those people. They follow it. They at least do their homework. I'm not saying I'm on their level in terms of reporting news. I'm not. But I will say this: that attempt to try to learn something. We've been studying, been trying to talk to players. We just talked to our 20th athlete at Florida this past 3 months, learning about what they're doing, what they think of the coaching staff. Billy Napier has been pretty good. Well, we haven't had a chance to hear him that much. We'll hear him next week. And I don't know. I'm more confused than ever. We talked about the schedule last night of the games are losable and winnable. Now we have to get down to start saying, okay, let's get real about this. What kind of team they're going to have, what's going to be on the field. And right now, I just don't know. I've heard everything from 6 to 9 wins. I have my opinions, my thoughts. And right now, as I said to you last night, Shane, we're doing evaluations. You're going to go buy stock tomorrow, right? You go to your local broker. He pitches you his stock and says, listen, this is one you ought to look at to buy. And you don't know what you're buying, really. I mean, you think you know. You go by what? The data, the track record, the fun, whatever. It's easy to pick Alabama and Georgia, all right? It's easy. It's like going to the top of the Dow and picking the top 2 blue chips. We get that. What's interesting is what comes after. I think that's what we're talking about here. And how far down the line have the Florida Gators fallen east? I saw one poll from there, the SEC, I think he had them 4th in the East. Some people got them 5th. I mean, really. And I heard one guy Saturday Down South on Feinbaum, the SEC, had Florida 2nd. And he made a good case for it. So I just don't know. Right now, I'm doing my own valuation right now, and I have my thoughts, but I don't know. And neither does anybody else.
Did you? I talked about this yesterday. If you're talking about buying stock, our man Doring would load up and buy a ton of stock on the Kentucky Wildcat.
Yeah, I ain't buying it.
He's picked them to beat Georgia this year. What do you think about that?
I think it's way too early to start doing that kind of crazy stuff, and I don't believe in him. I don't buy the hype on Kentucky, South Carolina, and Tennessee. I don't buy it. I think one of those teams will emerge. Now with the mess at Tennessee and the recruiting questions, how much does that impact them? I don't know. Hopefully not too much. I think Heupel's done a really good job there. Hendon Hooker looks like a promising quarterback, but he's not going to be. He's not the number one draft choice. He's a good quarterback. That's what he is. Well, so is I almost said AR-15. Anthony Richardson, a good quarterback. We know what's at Alabama. We know what's at Georgia. Nobody really knows about what Texas A&M is going to be yet. They could have a rough trip. They could end up with 3, maybe 4 games. Who knows? But remember this, they all got to play each other eventually. But we know the East has to play the East. So after they've gone up against a few teams like Georgia or whatever, what does their team look like? Because sometimes a team like Georgia is a wrecking ball. And you can get through playing them, and it takes you a month to recover, and sometimes you never do. Alabama looks like much the best based on what we know right now. And quite frankly, I think everything else is up for grabs. I don't know how good LSU. I have no idea how good they are. We'll begin to find out. But here's what I do know about Florida. I'm sure of this. I know they will make fewer mistakes. We won't see another one of those Kentucky nightmares where they can't get the snap count, which is ridiculous what happened there in that game. They gave it away. Their secondary is going to be really good. I think they got 2 outstanding coaches there back there who are going to make this safeties and corners better. In my opinion, the linebackers will be better than people think. That's my opinion, based on just what people tell me, players, whatever. And I know a lot you have a concern with the front 7, and I do too, but I think they're going to be better. I mean, looking at a couple of guys that I think are going to be really, like Gervon Dexter is going to be a really big factor in there. And he needs more help, obviously. Offensive line is going to be very good. Worried about another receiver? Maybe it's Ricky Pearsall. I think Trent Whittemore could have a monster season. We talked about it last night. We know they got running backs. I think Anthony Richards is ready to step up. Special teams are good. So I'd like right now, I'm looking, if I had to make a pick, I don't really want to. I'm looking right now 7 to 8 wins, and I'm favoring more toward the 8.
Yeah, I mean, when you mentioned Kentucky and Tennessee and South Carolina and Florida,
who are they?
I think all those teams I just mentioned are the same.
Yeah.
They got so many question marks. So we shall see. John says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Melvin Law, fall camp starts next week. Will I be going and watching practice? Yeah, I'll watch some. I'll probably wait more till they get into pads. But I'll go watch a little bit of practice. Andy says by November, Georgia will be hitting on all cylinders. No way Kentucky beats them. That's what I said yesterday, Andy. I feel like they lost a lot of really good players, but they have a great roster that if Kentucky played them early in the year, I could see what Doring's talking about. But in November, I don't see it happening.
I don't either. And since when did he become Kirby Smart? I mean, Mark Stoops is a good coach, all right? Good coach. But good ain't great. Let's separate out and say, what are we talking about? We talking about real contenders here or having another nice 8 or 9 win season? There's a whole big.
Well, I don't think anybody in the East there's one contender in the East. There's only one.
They're defenders.
Defenders, contenders, whatever. Everybody else is battling for second.
Mixed
third.
bag. I agree. Mixed bag.
I mean, it's not even close. John says a good question for you, buddy. Here, brought to you by Melvin Law. Buddy, what kind of penalties do you expect Tennessee to get with those violations?
They ought to get the death penalty, but they're not going to get it. And I think because they rolled over and said, "Hey, look, here's our records. Here's what the guy did wrong. He was cheating and stealing, and the coach and his wife were giving money, McDonald's bags, whatever." They rolled over on their people, but they did it because they wanted to save themselves the what was it, $12 million severance package they wanted to give him. And as you dig into it and look at it, that was really dirty. And my question becomes, how did Jeremy Pruitt get away with this? And his athletic director was complicit with him. That's why. But look he came from Alabama. All right. He worked for Nick Saban. You telling me that never went on in Alabama? I don't know. I'm just saying. So that was really dirty.
The difference was if it did go on at Alabama, and it may, they got good players out of their deal and they won games.
Yeah.
Jeremy Pruitt did all that and had some bad football players and bad teams.
Cheated and couldn't win still.
Yeah. We got a text here on the Titan More text line from Jay. Says, as a Gator fan, I will settle for fewer mistakes, a piss poor effort on the players last year. Yeah. Not only mistakes, but the thing that bothered me, buddy, and I think I harped on it all year long, was the effort.
You did.
I've always said, there's a saying as a coach, it doesn't matter if it's Pop Warner, Pee Wee, middle school football, high school football, pro football, whatever it is. You may not be the most talented team, but as a coach, if you can lay your head on the pillow at night when you go to sleep and say, my team played hard and gave great effort, you can fall asleep pretty easily. If your team is one of those teams that does a bunch of dumbass things and doesn't play hard, you're going to have some restless nights. And even though it was my team, I wasn't coaching it. I had restless nights watching the effort level from a lot of our players, and I would have benched them in a heartbeat. So anyway.
Well, how about you? I mean, a little something here. I mean, look, what do you think's going to happen this year? You got to buy stock today. Got to put your money on the counter. What are you buying? Are you buying Florida stock today?
I mean, I'm buying in what the coach is doing. I'm buying in the foundation that he is laying. I'm still concerned from a talent standpoint that we ain't there. Because I do think that A&M has a better roster than us. That doesn't mean they're going to beat us because they're losing 3 or 4 games a year. But from a talent standpoint, they have better talent than we do. Georgia has better talent than we do. They're a better football team than we are. Utah, I don't know if they have better talent. I know they got 2 tight ends coming in here. They're both supposed to be first-round draft picks. They got a really good quarterback. The dual threat guy is a really good player. They're defending Pac-12 champs. They're a good football team. LSU is very talented. We don't know what's going to happen. I'm still saying I'm keeping my fingers crossed at 7. If we go above that win total, I will be ecstatic.
You're looking at the bowl to be maybe the 8th win.
I don't know. I'm just, like I told you, what we got to do is people aren't going to like it. But for this team to be in games, I don't want to say play boring football, but I firmly believe we're going to rely on the offensive line, which I think is going to be a strength for a change.
Right, Rob Sale.
We have a slew of running backs that will run the football. We have a big, strong quarterback that needs to run the football but protect himself. And we need to RPO it and throw the ball deep. It's simple football right there. And then on defense, keep your fingers crossed the front 7 can stop somebody. That's it. That's simple. That's how. Yeah, Lauren says Utah's running back is from Dayton, Ohio. Utah recruits everywhere. I know they got like 3 or 4 kids from the state of Florida recruited. I got a buddy that coaches at Middleburg. His tailback is committed to Utah. So I'm telling, they're a physical football team, and Kyle Winningham does a tremendous job.
I think you're right.
The first game scares the hell out of me, quite honestly.
Well, not to, but it is going to be warm on a September 9th.
Here, I got to respond. I got to respond to this Facebook Live from Chris. He says effort was down because the players did not believe in the coaching, especially. Okay, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever said. Nothing against you, Chris, but here's why I say that. Because if you're playing collegiate football, what is your goal? While you're playing, obviously win with your team and be a good player. But what's the ultimate goal, buddy? Make it to the National Football League, where the best players in the world play, and you can do it for a living. Okay, your resume is sitting right there on tape. So if you aren't getting great effort, the eye in the sky don't lie. So if you aren't giving great effort, do you think the Houston Texans, the Chicago Bears, the New England Patriots want Buddy Martin take a chance on Buddy Martin when he's loafing and not giving great effort just because he doesn't believe in his coaches? That doesn't work. If that happens at the National Football League level, they cut your ass immediately. And no other team's going to want you. So I don't agree with that at all, Chris. Nothing against you, but trust me. There's two things you can control in life, buddy. I'm preaching to the choir today, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Two things you can control. Your attitude, your attitude and your effort. The other team may be bigger, faster, stronger than you. I may be bigger, faster, stronger. I may be able to jump higher, do all that stuff. But if you have great attitude and great effort, that's all you can ask for. So I'm hoping, and I think, and I'm pretty sure this coaching staff ain't going to put up with any of that stuff. I'd sit your ass on the bench in a heartbeat. I don't care who you are. So that's
how you grew up. That's how you were coached. And your coach told me, I talked to him about you last week on my show. I said, what did you see in Shane? What do you think he said?
I was a competitor. I don't know. I don't know what he said.
He was coachable. He was smart.
Yeah.
He said he threw a nice ball. He was accurate. And so those are the things. So you paid attention, you listened, you responded, you were coachable, and you didn't go out there and give up. So, I mean, look, there is, as simple as that sounds, it defeats so many people before they get off the mark, right? They never get a chance because they either got an attitude issue, maybe they get hurt, whatever, don't like the coach, whatever. I mean, you had a chance to give up after your freshman year. I'm sure you thought of packing your bags and going back to Mississippi.
Oh, I was begging my parents to let me do that.
Yeah, and your dad said, no, you're going to stay there.
Yeah.
How would that change history had you done it? A lot.
I don't know. Maybe the Ole Miss Rebels would be pretty good right now. I don't know.
Well, they are pretty good right now.
Yeah, they're decent.
Better. Not as good as you when you got that run.
Are you in the market to buy or sell your home? Doreen Weeby, a realtor with Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, providing you with fast, friendly, and reliable service. Call her today at 352-562-1411 to help your dreams come true. Speaking with Buddy Martin here on the Titan MR hotline. Got another text from Jay on the Titan MR text line. He says, you damn right I buy Florida stock right now.
Okay.
Price is low.
Why?
He says the price is low and I'm sitting on that investment for a few years.
Yeah.
Thinking about taking everybody to Scotland for a golf trip when I cash out.
All right. That's a good
I'm with you. If you're talking about buying this stock for the future,
mm-hmm.
I'm all in. I just don't, for that quick turnaround in year one, I'm kind of on the fence right now. Time will tell. We have to wait and see. So,
time will tell is a cop out. You say that a lot, and Spurrier says, like, anybody time will tell. I mean,
I've been pretty honest. I don't think we're a very good football team.
Well, that's what I want to hear you say. I really don't give me that time will tell. Anybody can say that.
So, time will tell, buddy. You never know.
You're just going to aggravate me, aren't you?
I'm more interested in this text that I talked about earlier with CBS Sports.
Well, let's talk about it.
You're right, because the more I think about it, Florida. I want to say we won the damn SEC all sports.
Does that not count for anything? I guess not.
Well, that means that you're pretty good in all sports. So how we're 36 in America, and all these other SEC teams are in front of us. The people at CBS Sports must be drunk.
All right, I know a couple of them. One of them used to work for me. All right, so I'm going to say. But, I mean, what is there? Okay, you can have any kind of poll, but what is the data? What are you using to base that judgment? Is it all opinion? Is it number of championships won? What is it?
Well, I do know Arkansas had a phenomenal sports year.
They did.
I have no problem with them. But these other schools, I don't know. I don't want to waste time on something that I don't have all the information on.
Right.
But, we got a lot of people here talking about got a great chance to win our first 6 games. Yeah, I mean, we do.
Well, Utah's the key. I mean, Utah is the key to the season because it's the key to the start. If they can win that game, it sets up a lot of things. And I'm not really sure what to expect yet. But as I said, they're better in the secondary. The linebackers are better than people think. And their front 7, there are questions about depth. I know their offensive line's going to be good. Rob Sale likes to run the football. Shane, I know it's the cliche. If they can run the football, that changes everything. Everything. Because now you got play action, right? You don't have to go out there and make Anthony Richardson throw it 30 times a game. Their receivers are probably better than people think. Justin Shorter, Whittemore, etc. They got a ton of running backs. And our tight ends as a group are not bad. We saw during the spring game, we saw a couple of guys, Keeter and whoever, surface. Their tight ends are the key. They use a lot of the double tights, So I know Billy, if you look at this record, he's somewhat conservative. He likes to run the football. But as a quarterback, he likes to throw it too. So I think a lot depends on – I think they got a shot at 8 wins. I don't know any more than that right now. If I was investing, I'd take them as a long shot maybe. But in terms of getting to the dance or getting to the SEC championship game, very low. But listen, you've been around a long time. You have seen teams like Georgia not measure up on a year after they won something. It happens. Stuff goes wrong. People get hurt. Guy gets in trouble. Whatever. You throw to have a season they had last year was incredible. I think Kirby did a great job. There's a reason the people haven't won back-to-back national championships. It's hard, and things got to go right. This football team, you're right. Long-term stock, long play, I think it's good. I think this year's going to be tough. That you're betting them as an underdog. But here's the thing. If they have a good year, and that has to be 8 or more wins, it's going to be sweet for Gator fans because it's never more sweeter when you don't expect it and you get it.
Yeah. All right. We had a great bunch of our listeners here. Chris just sent me the link to this top polls of the universities, and they got this formula. I'm not going to look, it's too much to read, but the top university was Michigan, Notre Dame, Ohio State, North Carolina, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Baylor, Alabama, Georgia, Iowa, Michigan State, Miami, Tennessee, Utah. I mean, I'm not going to waste people's time.
That's a joke. That's a joke.
Yeah, it's quite interesting how they did this. All right, we got a text on the Titan Mar text line, buddy. It's a good one here from Joe. Joe says, Shane and Buddy, love the show. It's real long. I'm paraphrasing. What are y'all's thoughts on Anthony Richardson not being on the top 3 all SEC preseason teams voted on by the media?
Again, if it's SEC media days, fine. I read a list out 2 weeks ago, and I asked your comment. I saw a list that had him ranked 8th in the SEC. In the SEC. You're telling me there's 7 quarterbacks better than Anthony Richardson? I don't think so. I don't know a lot about football, but I know that much to say there aren't 7 guys better than Anthony Richardson. They just aren't in terms of skill set. Now, this is the thing. It's so mixed up, so confused. Florida has gotten lost in the radar. Really, and Anthony Richardson has too. But where you want to come from right now is under the radar. You got the kind of season and team you want if you're Billy Napier, right? Where you're going to be picked 3rd or 4th in the SEC East and maybe not in the top 8 on the SEC and a quarterback who doesn't register. He's like the 3rd leading candidate for the Heisman Trophy in Vegas. Yet
I saw a list the other day of the top 10, and he wasn't in it. So it depends on
where
which list.
What list?
Well, that's what I'm saying. You talk about looking at different lists. Yeah. He wasn't even on that list. But when you talk about how Florida is flying under the radar, how did you phrase it just a few minutes ago, buddy?
I don't know. I think they're flying under the radar.
Right. Well, this just tells you how anyway, what I'm trying to say is, again, it's the media at SEC. And we talked about this, I think, about your first, second, third teams.
Right.
When so that's 33 players on offense, right? You got 11 on offense.
Right.
So 3 teams, 33 players that out of the entire Southeastern Conference, the media only thinks one guy on the Florida football roster should be one of those top 33.
And he's never suited up for a
lineman.
He never suited up for a Gator game, by the way, just so we remember that.
What's that?
Sorry. He's never suited up for a Gator game.
Well, he's a transfer too. He's a good player. But he's the only guy that the media boys picked from a Gator offense. And then if you missed it, folks, on defense, Brenton Cox got second team preseason all SEC. And then at third team, you got Trey Dean, Ventrell Miller, and Gervon Dexter. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. It doesn't mean a whole lot. It just means that I think the media doesn't think that Well, they picked us fourth, and they don't
No.
think our roster's great.
Right. And I'm glad you said, look, let's do this. Promise me we can do this. When we say the media, let's be specific about what we mean. And that is, I trust the guys, SEC media days. They've been wrong every year, but I trust they know, they talk to people, they evaluate. They don't know any more about the Florida team than you and me. They don't know. They don't. I've never seen talk to anybody. I'm not saying we're experts, but we know more than they know. Now, we don't know about the league as a whole, except what we read here. There's a lot to be determined. But in terms of the media, when you start giving me polls, I want to know who it is, what's the criteria, and then let's make our own evaluations. I can say to you, who do you think the player is they're overlooking in the Florida team? I can tell you one right now, Ventrell Miller. He may have a hell of a year. And all the players I've talked to, his leadership skills are off the charts of these players. So there's some players out there that people are forgetting about, under the radar. Fine, let them think that way. But I'm not conceding to Utah. I'm not saying Utah's going to come in and win the game. I'm not conceding to anybody, maybe Georgia. So I think when you start evaluating, you got to be honest. And at least we're honest.
Yeah, and Coy says, why would Anthony Richardson be on anything? He stays hurt, so he doesn't have any work to really show.
Come on.
And John says, as Napier has said, Anthony only has 33 I think it's 33 completions.
Yes, completions.
Which is true.
Yeah.
I do agree with that. His body of work is so small that's why a lot of national media people aren't. They know there's talent there, but
why does Tim Tebow say what he says? Now, Tebow, I don't always agree with him. He's been raving about Anthony Richardson for a year, saying he's a freak, he's an unbelievable player. How can you size that up and evaluate versus what that guy just said? Who are they basing that on? The other thing is, I'm tired of people passing themselves off as recruiting experts. They don't know a damn thing. They don't know a damn thing. But the fact is, this is going to happen. You don't know that. It's like you said, they're going to change their mind 3 times. So there's a lot we don't know. Let's start with that big question mark. On a scale of 1 to 10, Shane, how optimistic are you about this team this year?
I'm about a 6 or 7 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon says AR hasn't shown much. At this point, you kind of have to accept what the national media thinks of UF at this point. UF has been subpar for the past few years.
Okay, great. Yeah, I get it.
A lot of these people say they want to know who gave Vanderbilt a first place vote.
Well, some idiot. There's always one of those. So that's like the one.
Why would you even do that? That's ridiculous.
Well, look, don't you remember the year that South Carolina, the coaches left Tim Tebow off the preseason all conference team, first team? Remember that?
Yeah.
And of course, it turned out that it was Jamie, as Ferguson's assistant, who filled out the poll, and he made the poll, and Steve had to pay for it. He had to go up there and face the firing squad at SEC media days because Jamie decided he didn't want to put Tebow up there. So again, it's just opinions right now. We don't have a lot of data. If you tell me that you think Anthony Richardson, there are 5 or 6 quarterbacks better than right now than Anthony Richardson, sorry, you're an idiot.
Speaking of that, buddy, Frank says on the Tightening Mark text line, he says, buddy, you talk about all these lists, the people we should believe and we shouldn't believe.
Mm-hmm.
So why should we believe that Anthony Richardson should be on these teams?
That's up to you, right? Make your own choices.
Yeah.
I
think Anthony will have a good year.
Shane, you know him better than anybody. You've seen, you played your coach against him. You know him. You know what he can do and can't do.
Right. I know exactly that's why he's extremely talented. In high school,
mm-hmm.
he got shut down by the really good schools, the
mm-hmm.
Gainesville Highs, the Buchholzes, the Vanguards. Yeah. And if you make him read coverages, that's where he struggles. And he may get better at that.
But Billy says he is. Billy says he's learned a lot in that area.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I still would do what we saw in the spring game with him. And I keep preaching it, is RPO, because all you do is read one guy.
Right. Play action.
Well, that's not play action. That's just
and play action.
Yeah. Well, if I ran play action, I'm going to fake and I'm going to throw it deep. I'm not going to read anything underneath. And I'd get him on the outside, let him use his running ability, and tell him, we don't need you hurdling people. We don't need you to try to Tim Tebow and run through 3 tackles unless the game is on the line.
Right.
run out of bounds or slide.
I like that.
Simple.
I like that. I like what you said.
And that whole sliding and running out of bounds has nothing to do with your manhood. It's about being a smart football player and protecting your body.
Yeah, but Mullen coached him differently. He likes guys that run.
Well, that's
look at all his quarters, and I've always thought that was a flaw in Mullen's philosophy. Not all quarterbacks, Shane. What if you've been run? You got killed.
Well, first of all, I ran for over 75 yards against Tennessee my junior year, but I had some. I think coach called one run play for me in my entire career, a quarterback draw against Georgia. But other than that, when I ran, I tried to protect myself because I wasn't a runner. But like I've said on here, Lamar Jackson is the premier running quarterback, but he protects himself.
Yeah,
and that's what Anthony, to be what he is, to be the quarterback that people think he's going to be, he has to run the football. That's what he does best, but he has to do it smartly.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, he can't be trying to, wow the crowd, so to speak. Just be smart.
But he is a really extraordinary.
I think they will play to his strengths, and he needs to focus on efficiency. Yes, I agree with that. Yeah. Buddy, before we let you go, who you got on the program tonight?
Well, tonight you got David Moulton, usually on Wednesdays, and then Lauren Matthews, who's a really good football guy. Our football expert is going to tell us what he thinks about the special teams, and as I said, David Moulton, and Lauren Matthews should be a good show tonight.
I saw David Moulton, I believe. What was it? It was one of the majors. Was he? Yeah. He was in studio with God, who was it? It was not Jack Buck, Joe Buck, and
Joe Buck. Yeah, right.
And our
caddy and all those guys.
The caddy, but he was in there doing something. I can't remember what. Right, I don't know if it was the U.S. Open or what.
Yeah, David. Yeah, David does some golf. He used to do a lot of golf. And he, of course, is Gary Danielson's sidekick, has been for years. He's a smart guy. He knows a lot about sports. He follows the Gators kind of close. Does a morning show now, like us, and out of Lake City and Live Oak and whatever. And he's been a guest of mine for 4 or 5 years. His talk show in Southwest started in Naples. I listened to it for years because I was living down there. And David's a solid guy, knows a lot, is smart, and kind of middle of the road. He's not a huge Gator fan like a lot of people on our show is, but he's gotten to be an audience, so he'll be good tonight. I like to talk. By the way, we didn't even mention LIV, not one thing today.
I'm done with him. I'm done.
Are you?
I'm done with him.
You wrapping up with him? You done? You quit? You're just going to be a Majors fan? You're going to cherry pick the Majors?
I don't know. I enjoyed watching. Did you watch any of the 3M? Did you see Scott Piercy blow up?
Yeah, no, I didn't see it blow up. I saw when he played well in the third round, though. And you knew he was going to.
But he had a 5-shot lead with 8 holes
triple
left.
bogey or something. Yeah.
He went triple, double, and it was just it was a disaster.
You kind of knew that was coming, didn't you, in a way? I mean, you kind of see that. He's not been there before in the heat, the battle like that. But, hey, the guy who won Finau is a heck of a player. In my mind, better than what his record shows. I think that guy could be a breakthrough. And especially if this whole thing with LIV goes, some of these guys leave. If I'm Tony Finau, I'm thinking, I'm looking at my chops. Oh, boy, I got all this money I can go win now. Guys like that will benefit from it.
We got one last text here, and it comes from William. William says, hey, guys, did y'all see the news on the former Alabama wide receiver, John Mechie?
Yeah.
We talked about it last night. I hate seeing that. I love the way that kid plays, man.
Yeah, that was too bad. It is the most curable form of leukemia, though. We talked about it on the show. My father-in-law had that. And so there's been a bad week for health. And, Sorvino died, and it's been a tough time. I'm so grateful to have football season coming now, Shane, to get back to semi-normal. They're taking snaps and we're talking X's and O's and tired of talking NIL and transfer portal, whatever. I'm ready to talk ball, Shane, aren't you?
No doubt. Sean says Anthony better stay healthy because Jack Miller is waiting to get a chance. Book it. And we got one last text from Jay on the Titan Mark text line. You can only coach a QB's progression so far. His skill, mentality, and ability to process information fast has to already be there. I kind of agree with that.
Certain amount of truth to that, but he's being trained. And when Billy says the guy has studied and learned, he's a smart kid, by the way.
Oh, speaking of that, I got to bring this up, buddy, before we let you go.
Yeah.
Did you see the contract that they just gave, the Arizona Cardinals just gave to
Kyler Murray.
Did you see the
caveat
stipulation in there?
Yeah, you got to go study.
That is the dumbest and most ridiculous thing I have ever read.
Really? Why do you think so?
Because you are the quarterback you are the face of that franchise. I don't care if you're the quarterback of a damn Pop Warner team. Your job is to always study and understand what everybody does. And for them to have to put it in a contract, that he must play a lot of video games or something, but I could not believe that.
Really?
When I saw it.
Well, I thought, there's obvious flaw there. They're trying to fix it with a contract. Contract ain't going to do it, but you're right. But obviously they're concerned.
I guess, but I mean, I've never seen that. And I saw people just ripping the Cardinals and him on Twitter.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Joseph said Jack Miller plays at QB. It's going to be a long season. But look, I've seen Jack Miller. I think he's going to be a solid backup. Yeah. And if he has to play, they'll be fine. People look at one little thing. He forced an interception in the spring game, but he's a pure thrower. And you got to remember, he's only a freshman, maybe a sophomore. I'm not sure.
I think he's a red shirt sophomore, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. John says 4 hours of film study mandated. Dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. I cannot believe they put that in a contract.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question? How good a quarterback was Terry Bradshaw?
Well, buddy, I was a kid when I was watching Terry Bradshaw.
But you know about him.
Yeah.
How good was he?
He was pretty good. But people tell me, or people will tell you that he was with one of the most talented football teams ever in the National Football League.
So
is that true or false?
He'll tell you that. The defense is great, but somebody had to throw those balls deep. Somebody had to throw those touchdown passes. He had a lot of picks. He threw the ball over the yard. Mm-hmm. But my point is, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback, and they gave him film to take home for years. He never watched it ever. Now, was that a good thing? No, but that's what he did. He didn't study film at all.
Well, I was not a big. I mean, I watched a little bit of tape, but I told you, buddy, I didn't study my playbook at all because when the coaches would go through back in those days the overhead projector with the plays, I could see it one time and I knew what everybody did. Never had to look at it again. So watching
you had a rare even photographic memory, and that's great.
Yeah. So watching tape is just about getting tendencies, seeing how people play.
Yeah, exactly.
This, that, and the other. But for a professional quarterback to have that in his contract just blows my freaking mind.
Yeah, Bradshaw put it in his trunk and never looked at it. So that's just what. So it works. Different things work for different people. We'll see. But no, I didn't know. Hey, by the way, here's the best tweet of the day. All 32 camps are open today. This guy is a Miami fan. Said the Miami Dolphins offseason is officially over. Training camp opens today. Others may say their season is over. That's it.
Since training camp starts today, who you got in the Super Bowl?
Shane, I don't know. Give me a minute.
I mean, there's 32 teams.
I don't know. I don't know yet. I don't know. I don't know.
All right, I'm going to tell you mine right now.
You go.
Because last year at this time, I picked the Rams and the Buffalo Bills.
Right. You did.
I'm picking the same two teams.
Yeah, you did.
And I got Buffalo winning.
Yeah, I think I picked the Rams and I forget who my team was, who my other team was, but I'm not ready to do it. My mind right now, look, Shane, my mind has been this summer is getting my brain cleared out, seeing my family, which I enjoyed, talking football, trying to figure out who this coaching staff is, learning about the players, and trying to be at least have a general idea of what's going on in Gainesville. And I'm counting on you, by the way, because I'm
telling you, here's what I will tell you, that this coaching staff and this head coach, they know what they're doing, and they're building it from the ground floor up.
Yeah, it takes a while. That takes a while. Don't say time will tell ever again on the show when I'm with you. But I get it's going to take time. It's all right. But I want to say I'm counting on you because you get to go to practice. I don't. So you got to tell me what you can tell me so I'll know what's going on in practice. You're my reporter, Shane.
All right. I'll be your source.
My inside source tells me. You got it, buddy.
So what if I come back and I tell you we can't complete a pass at practice?
Well, I was saying my source. Yeah, of course. I'm going to believe you, of course.
We can't block and we can't tackle. It's going to be a long year.
I'm going to say my source says I can't block, you can't tackle. Whatever you tell me. I'm not there. You're there. I'm not there. I don't know. I mean, Look, that's the first thing you learn as a reporter.
The funniest. I'm keeping you way too long, and I apologize.
But
the funniest thing to me is when you get on Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, you know how the media can go watch like the first 10 minutes or 15 minutes of practice, and they'll show like whether it's Anthony Rick, it doesn't matter what quarterback it is, throwing like a deep ball to so and so. The fans get so excited when they see that, and it's like on air. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it cracks me up because they're like, look at this throw, look at this cornerback break up this play. It cracks me up. But anyway,
Shane, these are your people you're talking about.
I know, but it makes me laugh.
They're looking for
it's
crumbs.
On air, people. It's on air.
Okay.
We could get Buddy Martin to go run a good 12-yard out route on air.
Yeah, you don't mean on the air like broadcast, on routes on air is what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah, I get
we could get you. We could go throw you some balls. You could line up at tight end. You could
don't underestimate me now, Jack. Okay, just don't think because I'm old and fat I can't do something. All right, just remember that. But I'm gonna count.
Buddy.
It's up to you.
Have a great day. We're going to take a time out. This went by way too fast. You're watching and listening to Pot Up with Matthews in the morning.
On August 11th, our restaurant Spurrier's Gridiron Grill will be celebrating our 1-year anniversary, and we're inviting you to Celebration Point. Proceeds from the event will go to the Ronald McDonald House, and we'll have a spread of your favorite Spurrier dishes, as well as special guests, but you have to get a reservation. So go to Spurriers.com right now and reserve your spot before it sells out. And thank you for a super first year. Go Gators!
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co., Ruse Ogra State Farm Insurance, Doreen Wiebe Realtor Caldwell Banker MM Parish. Our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Anyway, Chris says, if Bradshaw isn't considered one of the greatest because he was on a great team, why isn't the same standard held with Joe Montana, who was also on great teams? And when he left San Francisco, the next QB also won 4 Super Bowls. I'm not sure what we're talking about there. I mean, Bradshaw was a very good player, but he was on some tremendous teams, as was Montana, as was Steve Young. So anyway, Dan says he misses going to practices back in the day. No question. We got a bunch of text here trying to get out of here. We're getting text saying there's no sound. This is from Frank on the Titan MR text line. Shane, did you see much dirty play when you were playing? Which team would you say was the worst offender? Were there any deliberate attempts to take you out of the game? I do know that, in the NFL, if people saw a guy being dirty, some of the veterans would be trying to take him out for sure if he was a dirty player. The Bill Romanowskis of the world, those type players. But I don't know. I'm sure people try to take me out of the game, but somehow I never missed a game due to injury. I was banged up all the time, but never missed a game. So the sound is back on. So now, maybe it's not. I don't know. Rose Ogre State Farm offers a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. Hope you enjoyed today's program. Make sure you tell all your friends and family to follow our programs on all the different platforms out there. Tomorrow is Wednesday. We have a few more Wednesdays off, and then until August 17th, then we'll be cranked back up. But tomorrow will be the best of the 2000s. So make sure you tune in. It'll be a good show, no doubt about it. Hope you enjoyed today's program, folks. We'll see you tomorrow.